Hello, thanks for tuning in to this video. Today I'm going to give you a master guide, or as much as I can do it, of how to properly use your LG OLED B9, C9, E9, or your 2020 CX as a PC monitor. All right. I will be covering a lot of things in this video, my personal experiences, advice, tips, and tricks, and this video can also be used not just for these particular television models I named, but for every type of television. I came from using I came from using 1080p 3D 600, subfield drive 60 hertz plasmas from 2013 and 2012 all the way to 2020. I was using these televisions as my PC monitors, and these just hooking a PC up to your television can breathe so much new life into it, guys. It's insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. I tried to buy multiple LED televisions, 4K televisions, to try to replace my 1080p plasmas. And every single time they ended up going right back to the store because they could not compete with the black levels and the motion and the color vibrancy my plasmas had. And because I was using my plasmas as PC monitors, I was able to play all of my video games at 4K, 5K, 8K, 16K, whatever resolution I wanted. People came into the house, looked at my televisions, and assumed I had 4K televisions. They didn't realize these were 1080p plasma screen TVs, all because of this wonderful computer. So let's get off into it. All right, first things first. When you hook your PC up to your television, see if your television has a PC mode. To access the PC mode on the LG OLEDs, you hit I believe you hit the home button, and then you navigate to the home dashboard. You go to the HDMI input, you hit the pencil at the top right hand corner of the screen, and you rename the input to PC. All right. By doing that, that ensures you get the most, least amount of input lag. And it works for all the picture settings. So you don't have to be forced to play on the game picture setting. You can play on any other picture settings in PC mode, and it will still offer the same amount of input lag. Just give you more options to control. Also, you want to go to your OLED picture settings by holding down the little gear icon on your remote. Go to picture and then go to additional settings and go to uh, HDMI Ultra HD deep color settings, and you want to turn that on for whatever HDMI port you are plugged into. Instant game response should turn on automatically with that, but you also want to check and turn that on as well. Anyway, once you get that out of the way, now if you're using uh, Samsung televisions have a PC mode as well. You just have to hit the input button. It's going to allow you to select different inputs on your Samsung television. Um, well, these are if you're using plasmas. You can just go ahead and just hit the input button, highlight the input you want, hit tools on the remote, change the input over to PC, and there you go. For the newer televisions, I'm not sure. I don't own any newer Samsung LED televisions at all. But it did get through there, dig through the menus. There is a way to activate a PC mode on a lot of televisions. Okay, just do some research online. Anyway, so first things up, these LG OLED TVs, there are a lot of issues and little nuances that people I don't think are aware of when you hook these up to a PC. First things first is we're going to talk about audio. Okay, so if you're a PC gamer like I am, and you're using an Nvidia graphics card. Mind you, I have an Nvidia graphics card. This guide is all engineered towards using an Nvidia graphics card. If you use AMD, there are a few tips in here that can help you as well, but mainly this is if you're using an Nvidia graphics card, because these televisions supposedly right now only support G-Sync, and they will get FreeSync in a later update, but you can enable FreeSync right now yourself. I will show you how to do that. All right. So if you're using an NVIDIA graphics card, first thing we're going to talk about is audio. Okay. If you go here to the Windows Store and do a search for Dolby Access, uh, type that in wrong, Dolby Access. This will, you have to pay some money. I don't know how much it was. Might be $5, might be $10. But this will allow you to buy and purchase the drivers to be able to use Dolby Atmos through your headphones and through your HDMI ports on your graphics card and on your motherboard to be able to access Dolby Atmos. All right. To me, think of Dolby Atmos as the Dolby Digital live support we've been asking for years. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, without having to buy an external graphics card. So anyway, you purchase this, you launch it, and you set it up. And if your device supports Dolby Atmos, you go to products, you go here, see set up for home theater, hit setup, hit continue, you select your audio device that you're using. So you can hit audio devices. You want to select LG high definition audio device, but we're going to go in depth on how to really set this up. So you really just want to go here, go over to the bottom right hand corner of your screen, open this up, hit open sound settings, go to open sound control panel on the right, and boom, here you go. Now you're going to have access to your LG TV. So if you double click this and go to supported formats, if you go to supported formats, originally when you first hook this up, it is not going to show Dolby Digital, Dolby. It's not going to show anything here. This is all going to be completely freaking blank. It's all going to be completely freaking blank. Even if you properly set up enhanced audio return channel, let's say you got a home theater system and you want to set Dolby Atmos to go to your home Dolby theater system, you would, grab your magic remote, hold down the gear settings icon, the gear button, whatever. You long press it, go to sound, and then you would flip the switch to turn on Dolby Atmos, or if you're using and that'll give you Dolby Atmos through the internal speakers, and then you would also have to go into sound mode settings, and you have to turn on Dolby Atmos virtual surround sound. But also if you hit sound out, you have the ability to go to ARC, HDMI ARC audio return channel, and you could turn on eARC and a bunch of other, you could turn on eARC and a bunch of other stuff. Even if you did it all correctly, you still wouldn't have access to no encoded formats. All of this would be blank, all right? And that's because the Nvidia the Nvidia drivers do not support Dolby Atmos. The built-in Nvidia drivers for your graphics card do not support Dolby Atmos. So, as you can see on my screen, I have all this listed here. How did I get this? Simply by uninstalling the Nvidia audio drivers. You just open up your control panel here. You go to uninstall a program, and right in this list of Nvidia crap is going to be one for your Nvidia audio drivers. Nvidia HD audio. You just uninstall it, restart your computer, and when you do that, it's going to default over to Microsoft audio drivers, and ding ding ding, those support Dolby Atmos. So then you just go to spatial tab, hit Dolby Atmos. Here we go. Dolby Atmos for home theater, hit apply. And then spatial tab is supposed to be Dolby Atmos as well there for home theater, but I don't think it's showing up because right now I'm recording this video and I'm on these headphones. But yeah, it will show up. Oh, my bad. This is what's it's not showing up. You also have to do one more thing. You have to go over here to Device Manager. That's why I didn't do. You have to go to Device Manager and you have to hit Sound and Video Game Controllers, and boom, here it is. Nvidia Virtual Audio Device Wave Extensible WDM. You have to uninstall this shit as well. Once you uninstall this, then Dolby Atmos will properly work. You will see under the spatial sound tab, you will see Dolby Atmos for home theater. You select it, and you also will see it here, and you select that, and it will both work at the same time. Also, when you hit configure speakers, you'll see Dolby Atmos for home theater appear here as well, and it's going to do stereo because you can only send stereo through Dolby Atmos Matrix 2.0 or 2.1 stereo. So it's going to come through a stereo audio to your receiver it's going to be encoded as stereo audio to your receiver, and then your receiver is going to unpack it and send it to the appropriate speakers because the information is going to be in there, the appropriate information to the speakers. Okay, but even that, it's still not going to show none of this stuff because of the first issue is drivers. We'd already explained how to get around that. The second issue is bandwidth. Okay, so at 4K 60 hertz, you are not going to be able to do, notice I have 5K and other stuff here, I'll talk about that later, but at 4K 60 hertz, you are not going to be able to get Dolby Atmos to flow through the graphics card to your receiver or to your television at all. And that's because of the bandwidth issue. This television supports HDMI 2.1, but your graphics card currently does not. They haven't been released yet as the timing of this filming of this video. All right. So even if, and I went out and bought these cables, I bought 3 of them to be future proof. Even if you own ultra high speed HDMI cables with Ethernet that can support the full bandwidth, because your graphics card only does HDMI 2.0, A or B, whatever, it's not going to be able to send Dolby Atmos to your television or to your receiver. All right? It's not going to be able to do it if you do 4K 60 hertz, native 4K 60 hertz. It's not going to be able to do that because there's not enough bandwidth. All right? So the only way to get around this issue is you have to turn your television into a native 1440p or native 1080p display. All right. And it's not as simple as going to the Nvidia control panel listed here and then just, lowering your resolution, selecting a lower resolution like 1080p or 1440p and selecting it. I'm going to explain why all this says native and all that in a second. But that won't work because if you do that, it's going to it's just all it's doing is upscaling. It's going to set your resolution to 1080p or 1440p, but it's going to be upscaling it back to 4K. So you're still utilizing the 4K pixels on your display, which means you're still utilizing the full amount of bandwidth. All right. In order to get around that, you have to natively turn your television into a native 1440p or 1080p display like I've done here, okay? And in order to do that, you need a program called Crew, all right? This program is absolutely fucking amazing, all right? It allows you to literally manipulate the EDID information between your graphics card and your display to do some wondrous shit, all right? So, for example, let's open up the program here. When you first open this up, all right, it is going to, just for shits and giggles, we'll import a profile. It open. All right. When you first open this up, your profile's probably going to look like this or similar to this. It's going to have 4096 by 2160 and then 3840 by 2160, and you're going to have detailed resolution blocks that you can edit, and you're going to have a lot more information stored in here. And they have, see, this says FreeSync range. I added that in there. You can add FreeSync into this TV with this program. You will not need to wait for an update from LG. You can add FreeSync into your television right now if you have an AMD graphics card, and the shit will work. It's been confirmed by other people on the internet, but I'm going to show you how to do all that, okay? But yeah, you can manipulate the EDID information, handshake information between your graphics card and your display with this app and be able to literally turn this display into a native 1440p or native 1080p display. At 1440p, you will be able to do G-Sync at 120 hertz. At native 4K, you'll only be able to do G-Sync at 60 hertz, okay? But if you turn this display into a native 1440p display, you could do G-Sync at 120 hertz, or you could do 1080p at 120 hertz with HDR. You can also do HDR with 1440p, but you have to make sure it's at 90 hertz. At 90 hertz, you can do that, okay? Which is honestly 90 hertz is the new 60. It's really easy to hit. It's not too difficult, and it looks and plays amazingly well and great. All right. So anyway, um, let me see if I can just. I don't want to restart all, but I'm gonna open it back up again. So anyway, so when you first open up Crew, you're gonna have a bunch of resolutions higher than 1440p in here. 1440p is not even going to be in here. You're going to have to put all this in yourself, okay? So first things first, up here you're going to have like 4096 by 2160 and 3840 by 2160. You want to delete those out. You just simply select the resolution, 4096 by 2160 or 3840 by 2160. You just select one of those resolutions and just hit delete. And then select the next one, hit delete. And then the only thing that's going to be left is this one. So then you want to hit add, and then you want to just simply type in 2560 by 1440, refresh rate 120 hertz or 90 hertz. You got to add them both in. Timing, I just did manual, hit OK, and that was it. And then you want to do another one for 90 hertz. So you want to do one for 120 and one for 90. After that, you're done here. You also want to make sure you navigate select these resolutions. The one with the highest hertz, you want to make sure that's at the top of the list. And then 90 hertz, you want to make sure that's second in line. And then this one that was already in there, you can just leave that alone. All right. Next, you want to go over here and you want to hit edit. Okay. If you see 3840 by 2160, any resolution higher than 1440p, you want to delete those out. You want to delete those completely out. All right. So if you see that in this list here in this section, select it and hit delete. Delete it out. Anyway, down here, you want to hit edit. And here they have TV resolutions. You want to hit edit in here. Here is going to show you all the television resolutions for this display. Notice you don't see anything higher than 1440p in here. You don't even see 1440p in here, but don't worry about that. Delete anything that's 3840 by 2160 at whatever hertz it is, and 4096 by 2160. You just want to get rid of 4096 by 2160 altogether, because that shit causes some problems if you want to use Nvidia Dsr. I'll explain what Nvidia Dsr is later. Okay. Anyway, delete all those resolutions out. You only, anything that's 1440p and below, you can leave it. But anything higher than that, you want to get rid of. Okay. And what that's going to do, that's going to free up bandwidth. That's going to free up some bandwidth for you. So you can actually add in some stuff if you want. So for example, you can add in FreeSync. So you would just literally just hit edit. You would literally just hit, let's say we wanted to add something. You just hit add, and then you can go to FreeSync range. And when you hit FreeSync range, all of a sudden it will add you, okay, what's your FreeSync range limits? You could put in 40 to 120, the same limit that G-Sync has right now on this TV, between 40 hertz and 120 hertz. You hit OK, and it's added in. So now if you hook up an AMD graphics card, you will now have access to FreeSync on this television right now. So there you go. All right. You can add in, also you want to go here to HDMI 2.0 support, and you want to hit edit. I'm sorry, not here. You want to go to HDMI support. You want to hit edit. They'll have some more resolutions down here for 3840 by 2160 and 4096 by 2160. You want to delete those out of this section as well. So you really got to dig deep and look. For shits and giggles, I checked all these for supported content types just because I wanted to see if it was going to do anything, but you don't have to. You can leave this at default if you want. All right. But yeah, you do that. You delete this crap out. And when you do that, you now won't have any issues. You won't have any issues trying to do what I'm trying to show you here, right? So you hit OK, and then you hit OK here, and then you want to hit Restart 64. When you hit this, your screen is going to flicker, and when it comes back, you will have a native 1440p display, all right? You have a native 1440p display. Also, with Crew, you might want to take some time and you might want to export your settings so you can be able to switch between them on the fly. So I have one for 1440p native bin, 1080p native, and 4K native. Okay, for 4K, you're probably wondering why do I have a 4K native one? Because sometimes I want to play at native 4K at 60 hertz, but I don't want that dumbass resolution in there that's called 4096 by 2160. That's the cinematic resolution for 4K. That resolution will cause you some problems with Nvidia Dsr. I'll talk about that in a minute. And I'll also explain what all this type of stuff is, okay? I'll explain all that in a minute, okay? But let's go to the Nvidia control panel. So inside the Nvidia control panel, oh, there it is already open. You will now see 2560 by 1440p native, all right? You'll see that now, native. That is now your native resolution for your display, okay? Now, and because we put in two versions of that, both at 90 and 120 hertz, you will now have 90 hertz and 120 hertz. Then you just simply want to go over to the tab on the left, hit Setup G-Sync, Enable for window and full screen mode, and finally you need to go to your Manage 3D Settings, and you want to, now feel free to copy my settings. Feel free to copy this shit. It will help you out. You then want to, I'll try to go through slow. Just pause the video if you need to. Copy these settings. These are the settings you want to use, all right? You then want to go to vertical sync and force that to on, all right? Vertical sync with G-Sync is a special G-Sync enabled vertical sync that will make sure that your games don't go above 120 hertz, and you won't have to worry about tearing and stuff like that. But it also won't introduce any lag that you typically would get with regular old VSync on by itself. Okay, so this is totally fine. Turn that on, and also have your monitor technology. Make sure that says G-Sync compatible. Make sure you have high performance so you can get the highest performance possible out of your games. Trust me, this does not affect your visual quality at all. Like, you'll only notice the difference between high performance and high quality after you've been on high performance for like a month, and then you switch back to high quality, and then you'll notice like, okay, high quality does look a little better. But I only use high quality when I'm playing at my native 4K profile that I have set, so I can see the highest visual fidelity, and I'm not too concerned about my frame rate being at 120 and stuff like that. But when you're, you know, using G-Sync at 120, you want to get the maximum amount of performance you can get. So you want to make sure this is set to high performance, all right? Once again, I'm going to scroll up through my settings, pause the video at any time to copy them down. That's basically what you want to use, all right? So yeah, the reason, once again, the reason, now here's one last thing, DSR. Let's talk about DSR, okay? So you see something here called Nvidia Dsr. Nvidia Dsr enables you to play, and they have an explanation right here. It produces smoother images by rendering the game at a high resolution, then downscaling it to the native resolution display using advanced filtering. Dynamic super resolution can be applied to any game and can be used with other anti-aliasing settings to improve image quality, all right? So what this does, it allows you to be able to render your game at a higher resolution, 4K, 5K, 8K, 16K, and it's all based off the native resolution of your display. So if you have a 1080p display, it's only going to allow you to create DSR is only going to create resolutions up to 4K for you to downsample from. If you're using a 1440p display, you'll be able to go up to 5K. And if you're using a 4K display, you'll be able to go up to 8K. All right. Now me, I have the ability, and I will show you this. I have the ability, well, actually, I'm not going to show you this in this video. It is a little bit of a long walk. I'll show you in another video. But yeah, I have the ability to be able to manipulate the registry file for Nvidia DSR, and I can go all the way up to 8K. So right now we're set to go to 5K because our television is in native 1440p mode. But I can manipulate this so we can go up to 8K if I want to. All right. And then you can save each of these registry files so you can just switch between them on the fly. I have a folder here, custom DSR factors and stuff. And then boom, here we go. We have 1440p custom DSR 8K LGB9 and a 1440p custom DSR 5K LGB9. I created a custom one for 5K, even though I can already go to 5K. I created a custom one for 5K because there's certain resolutions I like to play at than just the ones that Nvidia automatically gives me. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So now I can literally go all the way up to 5K resolution. So I could play Doom Eternal, any game you want at 5K resolution at 120 hertz SDR and then 90 hertz HDR. Okay, at 12-bit color. So I would try to show you this right now, but since I'm recording, Nvidia does not like it. Does not like you recording. I'm using Nvidia Shadowplay. It does not like you recording at HDR. It does not record at HDR. So if I attempt to do this, it's going to crash the video. But basically, you would just select 90 hertz. And when you select 90 hertz, your output color depth is going to change from 8-bit to allow you to select 12-bit color. You just select 12-bit color. This can stay the same, um, RGB and limited. Also, if you use RGB limited or full range, if you use RGB full range, go physically into your television settings and change your HDMI black level. Change it off auto because auto does not do it right. And you got to change, if you use an RGB full range, you have to set your black level to high. And if you're using RGB limited, you have to set your black level to low, okay, on your television side. Just remember that. If you're using RGB limited, set your black level to low. If you're using RGB uh, full, you have to set your black level to high on the television side. Anyway, so like I was saying, yeah, you will now be able to do, once you set this to 12-bit color, and you just simply minimize, you go to your display settings here, and you just flip the switch to play HDR games and apps, and boom, you will be able to play G-Sync 5K, 4K, 8K resolution, whatever, according to how you have this set up, at 90 hertz with G-Sync, 12-bit color, even though it's a 10-bit display, whatever, HDR in all your PC games. And it looks amazing. Oh, and here's a tip for HDR. A lot of people don't think HDR is, and I was one of them. When I first experienced HDR, I thought the colors and everything just looked dull and shitty. Really just looked dull and shitty. Here's a tip. HDR enables you, it enables more colors, okay? It enables your TV to handle more colors, which means that you can go into your picture settings in your television, and when you have HDR enabled and you're at, remember, 12-bit color, 10 or 12-bit color or more, don't use HDR with 8-bit because it doesn't make any sense. The whole point of HDR is to be able to allow you to use 10-bit or 12-bit color so you can have more colors to use. At 8-bit, you only got 480 million colors, I think, or something like that. I forgot the exact measurement or the exact measurements for it, but fact of the matter is you don't have that. You only have 480 different shades of colors or something. I don't know. And then 10-bit is like 1024, and then 12-bit is 4096. Anyway, when you enable HDR, you can go into your television's picture settings and you can turn your color saturation to 100%, and your colors won't bleed because you have more colors to work with. If you're at 8-bit though, your color's going to bleed and look nasty as shit because you don't have as many colors. But when you're at 10 and 12-bit, you can just increase your color saturation in your picture settings to 100%, and it's going to look amazing. It's going to absolutely look amazing. So once I discover that, then I realize, okay, now I see the point of HDR. It makes sense. Now, it looks amazing in games, live action content. It still looks good to me. If you do notice your colors bleed, turn it down a little bit, but that's the whole point of HDR. You can increase your color saturation to 100% on your television, and it will look absolutely amazing. But yeah, but that's pretty much the guide on that. So I showed you guys how to get Dolby Atmos working, and I showed you guys how to basically play at resolutions far beyond your television's display. We're not done. I'm going to explain one more thing. So there's two ways of being able to play at resolutions higher than your display is capable of supporting. The first way is using Nvidia Dsr. You just go in here, like I said, you select it, and then you select the smoothness slider, which I always recommend you leave at 30%. The point of the smoothness slider is when you downsample from a higher resolution, it's like imagine a grid, okay? And those grid are pixels. Well, at the at 4K, let's say you're playing on a 1080p display and you're downsampling from 4K. Well, the exact locations of the pixels on a 4K display and on a 1080p display are in the same exact location. But if you try to use any of these other weird resolutions, the pixels aren't going to match up and you're going to have like missing information. Like, some of these words and stuff are not going to be clear. All right. Um, Also, it matches up perfectly if you do 5K, 4K, 8K. The pixels match up perfectly like they're supposed to. You're on the same exact locations on the grid. But if not, they're going to be off a little bit to the left or to the right, and you're going to have your words and shit are going to look terrible. So in order to fix that, that's what the smoothness slider does. It pulls information from the neighboring pixel to fill in the blanks. So that way your text and everything looks clear. So the default setting is 33, but I'm an oddball. I like working in increments of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. You get what I'm saying? So 33, I didn't like that. I put it to 30. All right. And that's where you leave it at. But anyway, uh, killed a little gnat. Anyway, uh, so yeah, the first way is, of being able to downsample resolutions from a higher resolution is using Nvidia Dsr. Nvidia Dsr is awesome because it will downsample from a higher resolution, any resolution you want, and it does not care for bandwidth, for the bandwidth of your HDMI cable or your HDMI ports on your TV, because it is taking that resolution and then downsampling it through advanced filtering back to the native resolution of your display before it sends it through that cable. So right now I'm at 4K, but let's say if I wanted to be at 5K or whatever, it wouldn't really matter because it's going to downsample it back to 1440p. And when it sends it through that HDMI cable to my display, it's going to be sent as a 1440p image. And so my display is going to see it as a 1440p image and display the image. Okay. But it's really a 1440p image that's been downsampled from 5K or 8K or 16K or whatever you want. So that's really awesome. Okay. The downside of DSR though is that it can look a little blurry, or slightly a little fuzzy, a little soft. I'll use the word soft, but I honestly don't mind it. It doesn't bother me one bit as long as you keep your DSR smoothness slider at 30%. Now, when you start increasing this bad boy, it's not going to show up in video. Uh, that's when things can get really blurry, especially at 100%. Things can get really, really blurry, or I like to use the word cinematic. But even this has its purpose because it's literally free anti-eliciting. So let's say you're playing a game that has really crappy anti-eliciting, like it just has FXAA. Like Destiny 2 is the perfect example. If I play Destiny 2 at 5K or 4K or 8K or whatever, Destiny 2 has weird lines and jaggies all over the place. And the only anti-eliciting setting Destiny 2 has is FXAA or SMAA or some shit like that, which doesn't do anything. DSR smoothness, you put this bad boy to 100%, and man, that game will look beautiful. It will look amazing. All right. So it's literal, and it's zero performance cost. It's like it's zero performance cost. So I love using DSR for games that have pretty much non-existent anti-eliciting because especially really old titles, because now it makes the games look like really, I guess you can say, really cinematic or really smooth, and just it just looks, I hate using that word cinematic, but it really does. It makes the games look a lot better. Um, anyway, but let's say you want to downsample from a higher resolution and you want the ending result to look just like the actual native resolution of your display. So let's say you're downsampling from 4K. Let's say you want to downsample from 4K or 5K, and you want that shit to look exactly like native 4K or 5K will look. Well, then, my friend, then you got to use uh, custom resolutions, NVIDIA custom resolutions. So I am going to attempt something. I hope it doesn't cancel the video. I hope it still records. It might cancel the thing. I better not risk it. Okay, so let's say if you want to, you do custom resolutions. So first, in order to do custom resolutions, you have to deactivate DSR first. So you got to go to your NVIDIA control panel, hit DSR factors, and you need to uncheck all the boxes and hit OK and apply. And it's going to disable Nvidia Dsr. Then you select your native resolution, which is 1440p, and then you hit customize. And once you hit customize, then you're gonna be able to open up a whole new menu. And from there, it's gonna be similar to Crew. It's gonna look similar to Crew. You're gonna be able to just input. Uh, you're gonna be able to input. Let me open up Crew to kind of give you an example. Let's just hit add here. You're going to be able to, it's going to look similar to this, the same menu. And you're only going to mess with the active pixels, horizontal, vertical. And you're going to be able to simply input 3840 by 2160, for 4K, 5120 by 2880 for 5K. You'll be able to input these resolutions in, and you'll be able to create some custom resolutions that you can downsample from. We're downsampling using the custom resolution feature built into the NVIDIA control panel. It basically uses a different filtering method. I think it's bilinear. I read up on it or whatever. But fact of the matter is, this method looks way better than NVIDIA Dsr. It looks like the native goddamn resolution of your display. So if you do 4K here, 3840 by 2160, it's going to literally look like it. It's going to look clear, it's going to look sharp, it's going to look crisp, it's going to look just like 4K. No joke. No joke. The downside is that you are limited by the bandwidth of your HDMI port, the cable you're using, and the port on your display. All right. So, because it's physically sending the graphics card isn't downsampling the shit. It's physically sending that resolution to your display. So if I put in a custom resolution for 5K and I send that shit and I hit apply, it's going to send that shit, that native 5K signal to my display, and then it's up to the display scaler chip to be able to display that image. And some scaler chips on certain TVs are very, very good. They're extremely good. Samsung, especially LG, they have some damn good display chips, scaler chips, and they will show you that 5K image on your 4K display or 1080p display. For 1080p, I was able to do it all the way up to 5K resolution for my Samsung 1080p plasmas, and it still displayed it, and it looked amazing. I know this video is running long, so I'm just going to try to wrap it up. But yeah, it looks absolutely phenomenal. I highly recommend you try that before you go to DSR. DSR is easy. You just select some switches. It's much easier. It's much user friendly. But custom resolution gives you a far more better visually result. The only downside is you can only create so many custom resolutions, and you can only and it's not as simple as doing like 120 hertz and 90 hertz. You have to create literally. You have to go in and create, like if you go in and create one for 4K, you have to do 4K 120 hertz, apply it, save it. Then you have to go in and create another one for 90 hertz. All right. So I tend to me, since it's too much legwork, I tend to just do one for 120 hertz and just play at SDR and call it a day. But anyway, that is it. That's all I got for you guys. I mean, I hope this video can help you out. I know I went over a lot of damn subjects. Feel free to reach out to me. Leave a comment in the comment section. I respond freaking quickly. Nothing better to do during this pandemic. So just hit up with me. Reach out to me if you have any questions or advice. Oh, and one more thing. If you ever want to go back to native, if you ever want to go back to your native display, if you want to turn this display back from 1440p native, you want to go back to a 4K native display again, you just simply run Crew, man. You just open up Crew, you just run it. You don't even need to run it. You just hit reset all. That's all you hit. You just hit reset all, and then you hit restart 64. It's going to reset your display drivers back to 4K native, and then and you hit restart 64, and it's going to reset your display drivers, and boom, everything's back to where it was just at the beginning, just as it was before you even began this whole endeavor. But anyway, I hope this can help you guys out. Oh man, I feel so much better talking about this crap. I have so much information inside of me, and it feels good to get it out on video. So this can help somebody. But there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, or non information. This hopefully this will fill in the blanks and help you guys out. If you want me to make any more videos, or if you got some criticisms for me for this one, feel free to uh to leave a comment. All criticism is good. It helps me out, helps me make better content. And I will see you in the next one. I'm out of this bitch. Y'all be safe, man.